And where do we start with one? I mean, well, actually, first, we might need to start with ourselves because I think
thank you.
On Friday,
yes,
we had a level of exuberance that I think, sometimes it's just because it's a Friday, but also because it felt like this was a game that was set up pretty well. I thought that this was a team that you could handle up on, right? I did not anticipate everything would go wrong, that they would do all of the bad things in this game. And so I have to raise my hand and say, my bad. Like, I diagnosed this incorrectly, but I don't think that I anticipate this Texans team coming out and having, like, all of the issues that they have displayed at various points during the season all kind of popping up in the same game and allowing a Titans team to narrowly get past them on your home field.
Yeah. Remember when we said, are we missing anything last week?
Yes, you did say that.
Are we missing anything? Like Will Levis, he's been pretty good last few games before yesterday. The inside guys, we knew that was the big story. They could maybe blow up a game, and they do have a couple of running backs that can play. I mean,
one of them wasn't playing in Tajay Spears, but
right?
Yeah,
but and so we're like
Tony Pollard. At one point, I turned to Patrick Creighton in the press box and I said, "Did Tony Pollard Space Jam Joe Mixon?"
Yeah.
Did he? Hey man, touch this football right quick. let me because he 100 plus and a touchdown.
Yeah.
That was what we had said, like, by hell or high water, Joe Mixon would come with.
Yeah.
It's not what he had in this game.
Yeah. So I'm like, we were missing something. And then you just said a word that was really sort of I know people use this word far too casually these days.
I do be saying words.
But it was a trigger when you said cathartic. I hope it's cathartic because that's another one of my new favorite things when Figgy's like, what?
Who? Huh? Make us feel better. Catharsis is like a feeling better in some ways.
Thing, when people say big words like that, why don't you just say what it means?
That's a great point.
You could have just said make you feel better.
That is true. I could have said that and I didn't. Another instance where I have to apologize. My bad.
But we're going to continue to do it because it is fast becoming one of my favorite things when Figgy goes, what? Huh?
I don't do it intentionally. I promise.
But you did say that. Make us feel better. I won't say cathartic, although I just did.
Yeah, that's right.
And I was like, one of the other things we did last week is we were talking about, like, remember when things could be so bad that they're actually good that you kind of laugh about it, like some of the things. That's not this game.
No, I was about to say, I was like, where are you going? Because I don't agree.
That's not this game. It wasn't so bad you kind of laugh and halfway expected it and all that. This was, Reggie, Figgy, this was the low point. This is the low point of 2024. And the reason it is because the worst thing you can do, especially 12 weeks in, guys, it's Thanksgiving week. Forget the 85-degree temperatures today, which is absurd, by the way. But I
don't know how to feel about it. I really and truly don't. I'm wearing short sleeves.
Yes, this is Thanksgiving week. Sorry, ring the bell. I can't reach it from here. You are what you are. You are that, And what the Texans are right now is not just a team that isn't what we expected. This is the bad part. They're regressing.
Yes.
They're regressing.
In all sorts of different places. Yeah. That's basically what I was getting to when it came to all they put on tape during the course of the season at various points. All seem to rear their ugly heads all simultaneously. And that was the biggest frustration for me, is that when, in a time period where it felt like you look at the schedule and you have Cowboys, Titans, Jaguars, all of whom you can look at their records in the Dennis Green way of who we thought they were, or they are who we thought they were, right? Like, you look at the records and you're like, okay, these are probably not the greatest teams. In theory, this should be 3
wins, man.
This should be the period of time, not just the 3 wins, but you get yourself finding some consistency as you gear up for bye week, Dolphins,
Thanksgiving
Chiefs, Ravens, right? To pretty much end off the season, right? Yeah. You were trying to find some level of consistency, and you were hoping that these were the games that you did that. And not only did you not find inconsistency, you found inconsistency in a way that was like worse than anything that you had seen from this Texas team all season long. You had C.J. Stroud throwing interceptions. You had penalties in a bad way. You had a defense that I think we had gotten to convince could be elite, missing tackles, blowing coverages, right? It's generally not showing the amount of juice that you imagine that they'd have a week after you went to Dallas and showed a level of juice that I thought was going to be able to be consistent, right? It just felt like this team regressed in all sorts of places. And it was really frustrating because not only did you do that, you did it against a team that you really, really, really don't want to lose against. A team that's, in this division that you felt was, woeful. And I know for you in particular, from that woman.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But
it'll come up.
No, and I think it's meaningful that it's Thanksgiving week because the elite teams now. The teams that are going to be contenders in the postseason. The Texans are not on that list right now, man. They're not on that list. And this is something for either geeks, nerds, or old heads. But there was an old show called Monty Python's Flying Circus. And
geeks, nerds, or old heads?
Geeks, nerds, or old heads.
All right.
You may not be familiar with Monty Python's Flying Circus, but some people are geeks, nerds, and older dudes.
I have heard of it.
Yeah.
I can't say that I have watched it and consumed it.
They do a bit called, it's a famous line from the show, says, and now for something completely different. I thought of that when I saw this defense getting gashed early, bad mistakes late, getting cut up by Will friggin' Mayo Levis.
Well, you did say that he had been playing better.
God almighty.
He hadn't been playing like this. You know how it is where, you get a call from your homeboy or whatever because you have to answer for your team. Right?
Yeah.
And
I only call when you lose.
I saw that number pop up, and I was like, all right. Literally, the words that I said to him as I answered the phone was, I was expecting this. And one of the things that we talked about in our 45-minute conversation was if somebody decided to walk up to me and say, hey, man, Will Levis played better than C.J. Stroud, I couldn't tell them a damn thing.
No.
That is a shame. That's a shame.
He threw a pick 6 and got sacked 8 times and cut you up. The 2 longest plays the Texans have given up in this stadium belong to Will Levis. 63 yards to Calvin Ridley.
That's disgusting.
And 70 yards to Okonkwo.
That's nasty work, man.
Let me say that again. The 2 longest plays this defense has given up in NRG Stadium was yesterday to Will Levis.
That brother probably eating through a straw right now. How much he been getting sacked. And he came out with the W and the better quarterback.
Yes.
And the thing that's also frustrating is that he had some big play shots, but like some of those were just like getting the ball out and then you fumbling over your own and allowing like the Okonkwo play is just fascinating to me. I've watched it many times.
Yes.
And now that there's the All-22, I get to watch it from different angles now. And it's just amazing to me how hard Henry Toto bit. And when you talk about regression, Toto this season was a representation of, wow, look at the progress that can be made with a level of focus and conviction in what you're doing. You and I'm kind of doing this to poke at you, but not. Like you got to a point where you're like, look, we have to talk about Henry To'oTo'o as being good.
Yeah.
Henry To'oTo'o did not.
We don't anymore, by the way.
Yeah, it was like he did not reward.
There is
that
pass coverage thing that's
for
out
you.
there.
And it felt like earlier on in the season, reading and reacting for To'oTo'o had gotten so much better, right? Like he triggered at the right times and he fired in with a conviction of a torpedo, of a heat-seeking missile.
Yeah.
He had the opportunities and the instances where he needed to kind of like react, play in space. He was solid. Like I'm not gonna get out here and say that he was like anywhere near All-Pro or anything to that extent, but he was solid. This was woeful. And then on that same play, you've got guys like completely missing their assignment or just not really showing a level of effort, a level of swarm. And that felt so disparate, so far away from what this team has identified as or set as their identity, both like from the top down with just the general notion of it, but then displayed identity through the course of the season. That regression might have been the most disappointing for me, just watching this defense. And I understand the defense had 8 sacks, 7 of them in the first half, 1 in the second half that allowed them to just kind of do what they needed to do. And then also, it was another week in which, you could look at the sacks, but those are a certain amount of plays. The other plays, poor tackling. Poor effort. And that one stuck with me.
And that 63-yarder and 70-yarder were representative of what you were just saying. And that doesn't even count the 38-yarder for a touchdown where, the secondary was just torched again. That's why I said now for something completely different. The defense was awful. And now for something even completely different from that.
Okay.
If Joe Mixon, if the book is out on Joe Mixon, you're cooked.
And the book might be out on Joe Mixon.
You're cooked.
I saw Seth was tweeting about this not too long ago, maybe like 20 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Jeffrey Simmons, if I remember correctly, or actually just go to the beat before I mess around and misquote various different people. But Jared Patterson said that the Tennessee linebackers played them differently than expected, and that led to struggles in the run game. And I think Seth has identified it perfectly, and it's how I felt, and I'm glad that it lines up with a former NFL player in Seth Payne, very smart man. Titans linebackers stayed backside on zone runs, anticipated the cutbacks.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, we know that we have guys in the middle that are going to kind of block up the general run lanes that are created in the zone run scheme, and so we'll just sit on the cutbacks.
Yeah.
And they completely nullify Joe Mixon in a way that was disturbing because it was just individual brilliance for this run game. We've talked about it many a times. They're not a consistent, 4 or 5 yards at a time. They are here. Joe Mixon breaks plays, and Joe Mixon didn't break any. 14 attempts, 22 yards, with 8 yards being the longest.
In games not against the Dallas Cowboys, who are horrid and putrid, the two other games in the last 3 weeks, Joe Mixon has 39 carries for 66 yards. That's a 1.69 yard average.
Is that good?
That is not good by my little pea brain account anyway. But no, man, that's why we're saying this is the low point. This was regression on a number of fronts, specifically defensively, and you're getting a book on Joe Mixon that, by the way, the Jacksonville Jaguars are reading as we speak, and it's late in the year. There is no more, they can fix this, they can fix that. What are they going to fix right now? What do you expect them to fix is maybe a better way to put it.
That is not a question for me for right now because for this moment right now, what do I expect them to fix?
They'll get better.
Not a damn thing. Because here's the thing,
Bobby Slowick will get better in the second half. Oh, by the way, let's talk about the second half. That is not something completely different. That is something we are quite familiar with.
Yes. There's a level of comfort in that. I know this one.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie before.
Exactly.
It is. Well, I was about to say it was a comfort watch, not nearly, but the antithesis of a comfort watch. Your defense is outscoring your offense in the last couple of games.
Yeah.
14 to 10?
Something like that. Yeah, because they got a field goal yesterday. They had 54 yards in the second half yesterday. They never crossed midfield.
Yeah, man, the Bobby Slowick noise is loud as hell.
And it should be.
And it rightfully is. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about that as we continue the show. We'll talk about, there's so many different places that we could go, and the 5 Hour Energy fan line is on all of them, right? Talking about the offensive coordinator, talking about the loss of Stephon Diggs, coaching pops up. Right, it felt like I was watching the Aggies game lose, and then the Texans might do the same again. Right?
Now, why'd you have to bring that up?
Because I don't know. We laugh to keep from crying.
Yeah,
I don't know. 281. When do Houston fans start wearing paper bags on their heads?
Oh wow,
that is the level of distraught you are after this game. I mean, this is a team that is still 7-5, and the way that they are playing, the way that they have gotten to that 7-5, is so disheartening.
Yeah,
and that's the damn shame about it. That is absolutely it. This is a team that you geared up and that reasonable people looked at them and said, okay, now is the time to push towards Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You lost to a 2-8 football team.
You lost to a 2-8 football
team.
At
home.
Yes. And we're going to get to all that implies as well. But, and C.J. Stroud took a large part of the blame.
And he should.
He flirted with a Dan Orlovsky moment there at the end that iced the game. He flirted. There was pressure which kind of pushed him out, but he was heading out anyway.
Yeah,
he was heading out the back.
Did he officially go out?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he had there not been any pressure coming from his front side,
he'd have needed some twinkle toes to make sure that he didn't hit that white.
He'd have walked out. But you still had a 40% pressure rate. And Bobby Slowick, my gosh, I have been defending this guy. I mean, not as much the last month or so, but I've been defending this guy. What the hell are you doing running inside? Like their that fourth quarter, they were running right at the two baddest dudes on the defense. Right at them.
They've been turning like the Titanic.
Yeah.
There's a general ethos of we are going to do what we do, and we're just going to need to do it better. And it's been made abundantly clear that you're not going to get better enough.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's grammatically correct, but you're not going to get better enough for it to be sufficient for what you want to do. And so it would seem that to logical people, that would dictate change.
Let me find the two baddest dudes out there, and I'm going to try to run right at them.
What is that? What is that, like prison mentality?
Yeah, I guess. It might have been. Oh, my goodness.
Is that the prison mentality where you're like, yo, find the biggest guy and punch him? Right? Is that the thought process?
Yeah, how does that usually work out?
And appreciate Sean Pendergast, who is the keeper of these books on second half scoring. He made sure to clean me up. Texans D 14, Texans O 13. We shorted them 3 points.
Okay.
My bad, Texans offense.
Yeah.
13 points in 2 second halves. Does that make you feel any better?
No, it doesn't.
There's so much to talk about, and I recognize this, and this is fair. Ben on the YouTube said, geez, Reggie, I thought you said cathartic. Eventually. But this is like one of them real deep tissue massages. It's going to feel bad right now. Hopefully on the back end of it, you'll be able to feel loose and all right again.
Yeah.
We'll try and keep that going.
It's a process. It's process driven.
I say that skeptically myself. I understand, but I appreciate you guys rocking with this.